Hey everyone. Man, what a day. Let's talk about it. So, I was woken up by my mom this morning at around I would say 8:30. No, it might have been a little earlier than that. Maybe like 6:30 or 7. She brought our orange cat Call Me to me once again so I could pet him and snuggle him. And yeah, it was cool, although he kept on wanting to leave. But I kept on wanting to hug him, so yeah. But that was cool. I then drank some water, used the restroom, and went back to sleep before I was woken up again to back my car out of the way so my mom could go to work. When she left, I drove back up and then I got out of my car and then I went back into my room and went to sleep again all the way up until around like 10:30. And what I remember after that was that I got up from my room and I decided to have some honey bunches of oats almond flavored cereal or almond variety with full fat milk and a cup of coffee. And I was watching a Digital Foundry video that was covering many different gaming topics, from the sudden increase to the prices for PlayStation 5 consoles, where before they were, at the beginning of the generation, they were 500. Now, after that, after a while, it jumped up to 550, and now it's at 600. And the PS5 Pro, which came out in 2024, was 700, which was already very expensive. And now the Pro is $900. So, things are getting out of control. There was a time back in the olden days when a game console came out. You had your early adopters who would pay the high price to get the latest tech. Once the base was established, then the companies would create killer exclusives for that platform that would draw even more players in. And because of time and Moore's law, the technology would get cheaper and faster to produce. So it would mean you could release like a die shrink and a device that had a significantly reduced manufacturing cost. So by the middle of the generation, you could cut out $100 or even $200 from the device. And then eventually, by the very end of the generation, you could release a version of the device that was even cheaper. This happened with the PS1 with the original fat model. Then they did a little alteration. Then they made the PS1 version. Then with PS2, there was the PS2, the fat model, then the slim version. PS3, there was the original like shiny one, then there was the matte one that was cheaper because it didn't have a PS2 inside of it. And then there was the PS3 George Foreman grill version, which was the super slim model. And same thing happened with PS4. There was the $400 one that launched, and then around midway through the generation, they released the Pro, and they had two SKUs. The original, which was a slimmer, more cheaper to produce version, was $300, and the Pro was the new $400 device. So things were pretty much pretty solid in terms of the value proposition and what was being offered to players. And then PS5 comes along, and it gets a slight bump in increase, and the reason they give is because of tariffs and inflation. And now there's an even bigger increase, and the reason they give is because of the RAM crisis and tariffs again, and also inflation. I actually did some calculating. $500 back in 2020 is worth around $615 in today's money. So technically, the PlayStation 5 is keeping up to, up to date with inflation. But at the same time, this is 5-year-old console hardware going on 6 years old console hardware. It really shouldn't be increasing in value. It really should be decreasing. This is technology that really should be like ancient in the tech world at this point. The fact it's not going down and is only going up is extremely concerning, worrying, and troublesome. It means that I potentially could see a stagnant player base that doesn't grow because the device is too expensive to buy into, and games are being released on PC anyways, although Sony did announce recently that their marquee titles, like that are, single player games, will be console exclusive. Maybe this is the reason why, among many other reasons, the Xbox being a PC console hybrid and they don't want their exclusives on the Xbox. On top of that, if they're going to increase the price of this thing, they have to give players a reason to stick around or to go on it. And I think really the ultimate reason anyone has any inkling of an interest with the consoles anymore at this point is Grand Theft Auto 5. That's the one linchpin that would keep this whole console generation together. That's not to say there aren't any good games that have been coming out since 2020, because there have been a few good games. But overall, it just feels like this generation has kind of been a lost generation in terms of just doesn't have that frenetic energy, that excitement that every other console generation had. And it could be because Moore's Law is dead, so the technology doesn't really have anywhere to grow, so it just feels like we're getting slightly better versions of what we already had. It could be because the landscape has shifted so drastically with live service games being a major focus that are games that are meant to last, but because they can't retain high player retention, they end up shutting down, and thus the developers that made those games get shut down, which makes the model extremely unsustainable and just bad business long term. I mean, it doesn't make sense to chase that unless you're like, already successful. So, yeah, it's a real shame seeing what's going on with the game industry. There was a time when it always felt like every year there was something fun, cool, and exciting and new to look forward to. It was like, oh my gosh, can you believe they announced that? Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, I can't wait for that game. And now it just feels like, I don't know, maybe if it's because I'm just older and more cynical. I would like to think not, but maybe it is because I'm older. Or maybe it's just because things just aren't exciting, because things just feel like they've reached this lull where, it's a live service game that underperforms, flops, and then gets shut down, and all that money and resources that could have went into making a really quality single player game ultimately just dissipates. And then you have just games that are technically new, but they just feel kind of rehashed and not that interesting. Yeah, this is a dire time if you're interested in gaming, because now it's become prohibitively expensive, and the value proposition has just steadily gone down over time. It's a real shame, but that's the state of the world right now. They also talked about there's a new Ocarina of Time remake that's apparently in the works at Nintendo that was leaked. And to me, that does sound interesting. I mean, the thing with Ocarina of Time is like, it always was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best games ever, right? And I totally understand why people say that, because it has like the music, and like it was one of the first 3D like adventure games that got the formula down really well, and it was just really, an engaging experience back in the day. But that was back in the day. That was the 90s, when that, way of doing things wasn't fully developed. I feel like if they were to do a remake now, I hope they don't just do a one-to-one remake. I mean, sure, for the diehard loyalist fans out there, that's exactly what they want. They'd want a one-to-one remake of the original Ocarina of Time. But I don't know, if you already have the original, how about do a new spin on the formula? Like, still take Ocarina of Time, but add something to it that makes it feel like its own experience, rather than simply just playing the exact same game but with shiny new visuals. I think that would make for a far more engaging experience. But yeah, and I think that's about all I've got to say about all that. After watching those videos and eating the cereal and drinking the coffee, I decided to do a bit of research with my habits with Claude, to kind of get a good idea of why I'm so put off by doing stuff like Brain Jam, because I've been once again neglecting it. And apparently what Claude thinks is that, based on how my behavior, I crave novelty, I crave excitement, I'm curious, I like to see where the next road takes me. And apparently it thinks that because I make Brain Jam into a 30-minute block that I need to get done, in my brain I've created it as sort of an obligation rather than something that I look forward to doing, and so that makes me less likely to want to do it subconsciously. So it thinks that if, instead of making it do 30 minutes of Brain Jam, instead open the files that are related to Brain Jam and see where that takes you for just 5 minutes. And if you end up going further than that, then great. And if you don't, hey, at least you got a little bit of something done, even one specific thing. And the reason it says that is because it believes that, based on my pattern of behavior, simply just opening something and then beginning to ask questions about what I'm trying to attempt with this series will ignite this flame of curiosity that will grow bigger and bigger and get me to want to explore further and further with the project. So I think that's something that's a really good and strong insight that I definitely will think about and consider for sure. And after that, my mom arrived. Well, actually, our family friend arrived for a bit. Before our family friend arrived, I was talking with my sister. I was talking about the whole Octapharma thing. I found out that, remember when I said I thought they took $10 out as a maintenance fee for the debit card for Octapharma, and that's why it was $19.90. Well, no, that wasn't the case. I looked at my payment history. It turns out it was only $20. So, yeah, that's a real, real shame.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's all right. Just.
Sorry, I'll leave. Hello.
Hello, sister cameo. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Woo. Love you too. Okay, so as I was saying, from what I remember, yeah, we were talking about Octapharma, and apparently, yeah, it's crazy. They only did pay me $20 last time, and the amount they advertised me this time was $20. And I'm sitting there thinking, is it really worth driving 15 minutes, waiting an hour to 2 hours, and then drawing blood for 45 minutes for $20? I don't think so. I think that's ridiculous. Now they do have a payment system where they say, "Oh, if you're a returning donor, you consistently return, then you can maximize and get the full $60, but you have to return for like 6 visits before eventually unlocking it." And I'm thinking to myself, wait, so I have to endure so much to finally get to the maximum amount? That seems silly to me. So I started exploring options. My sister mentioned looking at other like places that allow you to donate plasma. I found another place, and this place gives you $100. It doesn't matter if you already were a donor at another plasma center. If you decide to become a first-time donor at this new plasma center, you will get $100 per visit for your first like 4 or 5 visits, and apparently they advertise you can get up to $700 on your first month. And the cool thing is, they actually have a flat base rate of the lowest they go is $45 as a returning donor. But if like you return the second time again that week, you get $70 on top of the $40. So clearly, it's much more worth it going at this new location than Octapharma because they don't have a flat rate that really do the amount of money based on your hematocrit level in your blood and your weight. And here it was advertised as you get a flat base rate. So I'm going to go to this location. Apparently, you need to give it a week since your last visit or your previous donation. And the reason why is if you give it a week, then like their system isn't flagged that you're like donating more than you should or something like that. So I'm gonna wait a week and then go to this new location because I don't want to spend 3 hours getting a measly $20. That's just stupid. I want to spend the same amount of time getting a much larger sum of pay that will actually cover the gas trip to get there on top of like, helping out, because having the extra cash flow would be really good for just general living. I wanted to do an experiment with the Octapharma place where I would go there and I would like go for a month and see how much I'd make and how much that would help pay out for like, my living expenses. But after seeing what happened today, I'm going to switch to this new place, and it seems more likely to give me a bigger difference and a better deal than this place. And if it works out, then I could be making up to around like 450 extra in the month, which would definitely help with things like rents. So yeah, definitely something I'm 100% interested in looking forward to trying out. So yeah, moving along. Our family friend came over. We greeted her. They went off to help someone out. Then my mom came. Me and my sister greeted her. My mom made some hot dogs. I ate the hot dogs with her. Then my sister showed us some Book of Mormon clips that were pretty funny. And then after that, we, I needed to take a shower and then get dressed, put on moisture cream, deodorant, and then go to work. So I said goodbye to my mom and my sister, told them I love them. My sister actually made a smoothie for me, which I was very grateful for. It was a really good smoothie. And cut up a piece of pineapple, which was really good. I then drove to work, and when I arrived, it was a busy day. Really busy. Probably because Easter's tomorrow, and everyone's getting ready for Easter. So, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I just, there was a lot of bagging, more bagging than usual today. Like, normally I'm, like, sweeping the floors, but today it was all hands on deck kind of day, so it was pretty crazy. But yeah, I bagged a lot. I did go backs. I swept the produce break room, store floor, checked bathrooms, went on my break, did breathing exercise, tried some heart coherence breath work, which felt good. Then for lunch I decided to get some refried beans with some chips and 2 tamales that they were giving, or not giving, but were selling. And I had that. It was pretty good. Definitely not the best tamales I've had, but they were serviceable, solid tamales. And then I went back to work where I took out the trashes. What else did I do? I refilled the bags. It was interesting. The bags were there when I started working, as if there was anticipation there'd be a lot of customers, so they needed all the bags they could get. There was only 1 box of bags left back in there, but luckily it was enough to fill out all the check stands. Not completely for the cashier side, but completely for the bagger side. But I had to divvy it up a little bit, so that was interesting. I closed the produce blinds. I did a lot of go backs. I brought all the carts in. I said goodbye to my manager. I went outside. I punched out. I was talking with a coworker who was interested in see what the astronauts would see on the dark side of the moon. I'm very interested to see what they'll see too. That'll be cool. Especially considering that they have an iPad with them, apparently, that they could take pictures with, so that'll be interesting. And I was in my car. I was looking for something to listen to, and I noticed my manager was going out. I did get an hour of overtime today, so that's nice. And I saw them carrying a bag. It reminded me that I left a bag in the break room, so I asked them if they could help me open the door so I could get it. So they did. So I went, ran, grabbed the bag, ran out, said goodbye to the post closers who were working in the store. When my car, with a bag with the beans and the chips, drove home. When I got home, I listened to a little bit of this guy on the YouTube channel Farsight, talking about temptations and stuff. It was weird. And then because he was using the story of Adam and Eve and being tempted to gain more knowledge as a means of showing how their knowledge was expanding in this closed walled garden environment, so they could start asking more deeper questions that God didn't want them to ask, which was interesting. But anywho, after that, I warmed up some beans. I warmed up a tortilla. That was really good. Tasted really fresh. I put some cheese in there. I wrapped it up. It was pretty good, but I microwaved the last few bites in the microwave for 30 seconds. Ate that. That was pretty good. Had some chips. A little too much chips. I felt overly salted today. And then I need to use the restroom. As I was listening to IHE TV, a YouTube channel ran by a YouTuber who used to be huge in the 2010s, called IHE, which stands for I Hate Everything. His YouTube channel was really popular because he liked to harp on things that he disliked, and they were pretty funny review videos. But now he just talks about what's going on current day pop culture, which is more of a casual way of doing things. It's pretty interesting though. He was talking about Free Guy. He was talking about the Black Adam movie. So things like that. And then when I was done using the restroom, I went out in the living room. I was watching some regular show clips, because I've never really watched regular show, but I know people like it, so I was like, why do people like it? So I was watching clips, and it was pretty humorous. And I realized I need to make an update video. So here's the update video. It's currently 2:45 in the morning. definitely going to take my vitamins, brush my teeth, and go sleep after this. So thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody, and take care.